Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. We are continuing here our discussion with Professor Vassilis Fouskas of the University of East London, and we were talking about Turkey's military prowess, which the Turkish political leaders make a lot of noise about, but we've yet to see any real evidence of this. It has a large army, but it has a large army, but we've yet to see any evidence that they can fight.
I mean, before we talk about its efficiency, how much did the purge after the attempted coup lower the level of the level of cadres in the military? Because from what I've understood, it's the military is very dispirited because there was such a huge purge, and not just the military, but civil society in general.
I cannot answer this question accurately how far, but the point is that the point I'm making here is with so many Kemalist generals and lieutenant generals in prison. This kind of purge I don't think it has a positive impact on the morale of the army. If recent reports I'm reading in the Greek press in particular are truthful, that, for example, they say that Erdogan wanted really to start a war, but the Turkish generals held him up. They want to create an episode. They want to have something like in 1996, if you remember, when you had the EMEA crisis. It was a standoff. It was very serious when Turkish journalists took down the Greek flag on a Greek islet and stuff like that. They want to have something like that, but the Greeks are probably guided by Thucydides, who, in his theory of Peloponnesian, the history of Peloponnesian War, says the best virtue of a general is restraint. And I think Greece is doing well to keep quiet in a way and but they test the limits of the Greek how can I put it, bravery in restraining themselves. There is a lot of psychological warfare. A lot there is going on.
Vassilis, how likely is armed conflict? I mean, Turkey is making all sorts of belligerent noises. How likely is it?
It can get out of hand, don't take me wrong, but that can be a mistake. I don't think it can last for a long time. It can happen. I don't think it can last for a long time. Turkey wants certain things from Greece. There is a list. There is a long list and a short list of things. Turkey doesn't recognize that the islands have, even those that are inhabited, they have continental shelf, which is a serious issue in international law. I mean, all islands have continental shelf everywhere. The Japanese islands have, the Russian islands, all islands have continental shelf. Okay, fair enough, this can be discussed. It does not recognize the right of Greece to extend its exclusive economic maritime zone in the Eastern Mediterranean, obviously because it wants to interfere and break the deal between Israel, Cyprus, right, Greece and Italy, and this is the East Med pipeline.
Isn't it kind of difficult because Turkey is not part of that convention, so it's kind of hard for it to stomp its foot. Okay, yes. I mean, yes. One of the things I find, I'd like your opinion on this, because you talked about how purging all these Kemalist traits that were the foundation of the modern Turkish state, and is it a equal as Kemalist ideology and practices are removed? Is it equally filled up with more of a concept of Muslim political modernity, and is that effective? Is that effective?
Yeah, very, very good question. I think over the last 20 years, it has been achieved in Turkish society. Remember, for decades, Kemalists, they were trying to infuse into the Turkish civil society secular principles. It worked up to a point, especially in areas where are influenced by the Western. They have Western influences, like the Western coast of Turkey. If you look at the electoral results, they vote Kemalist parties. Izmir, Ayvalık, Adramid, Kusadasi, even Istanbul, you know.
Oh yeah, particularly.
So they have a secular vision. But if you go further towards Ankara and behind Ankara, then I can tell you that it's Islam, and also the radical tendencies of Islam, the very religious tendencies of Islam, and they all support Erdogan. So the raw material for Erdogan's ideology was there to start building up a new alternative ideological model to Kemalism. And not only that, there are many, under its leadership, many Islamic business have regenerated in Turkey, and they are exporting business. One thing that the press does not discuss is this connection between Erdogan's authoritarian regime and the Islamic business elites in Turkey, new Islamic business elites. It's quite a strong element there, and is export-led. I mean, Turkey exports capital and power. And in that respect, one that has some Marxist inclinations can redefine Turkey as a sub-imperialist peripheral power. It's not difficult to do that. I mean, Greece cannot match Turkey in that respect on its own.
It's interesting because there's reports now that Turkey is applying its soft power in all places, Yemen. Okay, it's continuing. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. Now, so let's just switch over to the European Union. How are they going to respond to this? Because so far, Merkel said the EU stands with Greece. Macron has wholeheartedly supported Greece. So will the EU maintain its united front? And how far are they prepared to go in pressuring Turkey?
George, I don't agree the EU has a united front. It may be on a surface. In Turkey, there are 7,000 German business corporations, giving jobs to about 150,000 Turkish workers. There are about 5 million Turks living in Germany, and there is this massive bargaining tool that Erdogan has with the refugees. So Germany is placating Turkey. What Germany wants from Greece is to settle on Turkish terms. That is Greece's problem. Now France has a conflict with Turkey, and there can be potentially, even at operational level, a strong alliance between Greece and France against Turkey. I don't know to what extent this will give the United States a reason to interfere, but France, Greece have a joint interest there. Perhaps also Israel to a certain point. Yes.
If I could go back to the NATO issue,
yeah.
I think it's, and I would like George's opinion too. It's kind of analogous to Brexit, because there's no precedent for a country leaving the union and no precedent for a country leaving the alliance. And I think that's one of the things that probably keeps the Americans with the thought that they need to keep Turkey in the military alliance, because once one country leaves, it can set a precedent for others to leave, and it really shows how vacuous and vapid this entire alliance is. Turkey uses it as a very powerful cudgel because the Americans don't want to see the alliance change without its permission.
George, you want to say something?
Oh, go ahead.
No. I like this analogy, this parallel with Brexit. The fact that there is no precedent on a country leaving NATO, I can remind you that in 1974, after the Turkish invasion of Cyprus, Greece withdrew from the military branch of NATO. In that respect, there is a precedent.
France did it as well. France did it as well.
From the integrated military command. But just to follow up on that, now Turkey outside of NATO is surely rather vulnerable. I mean, it's already diplomatically isolated, but outside of NATO, it's facing Russia in the north, Then it's got all the problems with Egypt down in the south. So NATO provides Turkey with some guarantee of security.
I understand that, but at the same time, even during the Cold War, Turkey was not entirely dependent on the United States and NATO as much as Greece is dependent on. I can, for example, remember the famous Johnson letter. The American President Johnson sent a letter to then Turkish President İnönü in 1964, saying that if Turkey, because Turkey at the time threatened to invade Cyprus, and sent a letter to İnönü saying, if Turkey invades Cyprus, I cannot guarantee the security of your northern borders, i.e. Soviet Russia, because Makarios, the leader of Cypriots, was on good terms with Soviet Russia and the non-aligned movement, if you remember, and it was betting that if the Turks invade, then the Russians will, the Soviet Union at the time, will invade Turkey and so on. So the Turks will never. Since from that time on, from 1964 until they got the green line from the Americans to invade Cyprus, for 10 years, Turkey was doing business with Soviet Union. And that was one of the reasons that Kissinger allowed Turkey to enter Cyprus, so to bring them back to the NATO fold. Turkey was receiving arms from the Soviet Union over those 10 years, 64 to 74. It was doing business in all sorts of fields.
Well, I mean, but you could flip the coin on this one here. I mean, Turkey, not within the NATO alliance, would certainly have security issues, but it would be forced to make probably more articulate and more precise decisions, because they won't be able to constantly fall back on the American umbrella. I would tend to think, George, that Turkey and Russia's relations would improve, not necessarily deteriorate.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
But then Turkey would have to give up. I mean, the minimum the Russians would require is give up on Idlib. I mean, that's really the sore point between Russia and Turkey.
George, I got a secret to tell you. It's doable. It's doable too.
It's doable, but I'm saying that the kind of, if you say the distancing of Turkey from NATO, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long process.
It's haggling. A long process. He likes to haggle.
Yeah, it's exactly. But this is what my point that I said in the beginning is that the fact that the United States is withdrawing slowly, over a long and protracted period from the world global order, and is using more of kind of balancing activities to jungle the world order, rather than having this hub and spoke system that used to have during the Cold War and afterwards. Cannot control Ankara the way it used to control it anymore. Cannot control Berlin even. I mean, Berlin, don't be surprised if you see Germany slowly becoming an important military security actor. 10,000 American soldiers left Germany.
Well, I don't think Germany really has that as its aim. I think it realizes that that's going to be the result. Okay, because of the recent historical past, Germany wants to be extremely careful for reasons we all understand. But I mean, Germany sees the European Union as its project, okay, and it wants to protect that project. And you know what? That project is very good for Germany.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I think now this brings to an end the second part of our discussion with Professor Fouskas. We'll resume, and remember, if you like the gaggle, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.